Okay, House of Payne fans, I have to say the Father's Day episode was actually pretty good. I want to give it a solid 9 out of 10. Episode 8 of season 13, A Painful Father's Day. I think what really carried the episode was the Lisa and Malik dynamic, simply due to the fact that on one side you have Lisa, who did not grow up with a father, so she's kind of uncertain of how to really celebrate Father's Day. I mean, given the fact that she was raised by her mom and was pretty much, it was drilled in her, like, oh, I'm a strong, independent woman. Your daddy ain't no good. He never around. And when he does come, it's only for like a few minutes and he just leaves again. You know what? Basically giving Lisa a certain style of how to look at men in her life, which in turn you could say that the lack of a father figure is one reason why she turned to the pole in the first place. But the thing what really sells Lisa as a character is the fact that she wants to break the cycle. So she goes to Miss Ella at the start of the episode to get some insight as to what goes into the makings of a good Father's Day, to showcase that the man in my life who is a father figure, how do I celebrate him? With Ella, she was talking about her dad, and we got some insight into how good of a man he was. And then when you look at Malik, it's basically, hey, this is his first Father's Day, so I want to make it a good one, which leads to Ella mentioning the whole thing about feed the man, give him a gift, and leave him alone. Then we go over to the sneak peek clip, which I've already done a couple of videos on the sneak peek itself. And okay, should Miranda, like, who should be the person that plans, I guess you could say, Calvin's Father's Day? Should it be Miranda or Laura? And the consensus is Miranda. It could have makes the most sense, but at the end of the episode, we figure out Laura's there to begin with. So, the ladies are simply planning what to do. It's Ella, Janine, Lisa, Miranda, and Laura. And they kind of all swap, Father's Day stories, whether it be what they did for their dads when they were kids, or what did they do in previous Father's Day, like, whatever Miranda did for Calvin or Janine would do for CJ. And they basically don't want to do just the same old in terms of ties, socks, underwear, what have you. They want to do something as a collective in order to, make this one an impact. So I thought that was pretty fun. Now, I will say that the B story, and I'll spend just a few moments on it. It was good to see Floyd and Glo, because we haven't seen Glo. I mean, we've seen her this season, but kind of sporadically. She's kind of popped up here and there. She hasn't had as big of a presence as Floyd, but it was good to finally mention that these two were actually still dating, because I don't believe that's been mentioned since the initial episode when they started going out. And that was it. So yeah, essentially Floyd made a sideways remark. I believe he ran into someone he knew from the past while Glo was there, and he complimented the other woman about her beauty, because apparently she pun intended had a glow up, and mentioned how the outfit she was wearing would look good on Glo. It's just that different body types and whatnot. And Glo is rightfully in her feelings about it. They go over to Curtis and Ella's house. Obviously Curtis is on Floyd's side, and Ella says, wow, that comment was really messed up. And instead of apologizing, Floyd stands 10 toes deep, and Glo breaks up with him. And then that leads to later in the episode when Floyd comes by looking like a player, but then he's actually pretty sad because he misses his lady. And then Ella mentions how Glo is upset too, and Curtis is like, don't ruin Floyd's flow. Come on now, he's out there, he's doing his own thing. But then Ella makes a good point. If Glo is in her feelings, then she's probably going to spend more time going around the neighborhood finding citations to write people up for, and she's probably going to come snooping around here. So it might be best to get Floyd and Glo back on the same page. So by the end of the episode, Floyd does apologize, and they agree to kind of move forward. I think that Floyd mentions taking her to some boxing movie that she's wanted to see, probably a Creed movie, I'm guessing. And from there, it's kind of funny how it ends on a note of her talking about the guy who's the lead, mentioning how good he looks and whatnot. So it was kind of a flip on hey, you mentioned that friend of yours, I want to mention like this movie star of mine. So from there, we go back to the main story where Malik, and I like this because you have Lisa who's uncertain of how to celebrate Malik on Father's Day since she hasn't had a, positive male role model in her life or father figure. And then on Malik's side of things, he's uncertain if he's even worthy or qualifies to be included on Father's Day because he feels like a failure. And, you got CJ, Calvin, and Curtis watching, I think, a baseball game. And, they're kind of in their own little world, but they take a moment to just say, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, and then CJ, and I love this scene because it was one of those things where, again, I just like it when CJ is, I don't want to just say a cool dad, but he treats his son like a man. And I'm not talking about those moments where he pulls an Uncle Curtis and roughs him up or throws him out the house or whatever. No, he's like, hey son, sit down. Come on, let's talk. Because I've already been over this with you before. Don't feel like you have to have everything figured out. You're doing good. And I love how Curtis jumped in with the fact that don't feel bad because you just became a dad. If nothing else, this proves how Malik is a good father because he wants to be an even better one. But the thing is, he fails to see the benefit that he has way more of a support system than, let's say, Curtis and Ella had when they had Calvin, or when CJ and Janine had Malik, or when Calvin had Junior, or should I say when Junior randomly popped up in his life. I mean, yeah, you could argue that CJ and Calvin had it just a bit easier because they had Auntie Ella and Uncle Curtis to count on. But, think about Curtis and Ella, back in that generation, they were truly on their own and they had to figure things out. But Malik, he's with his parents and whatnot. And, well, I love how they mention how, this generation, it's not uncommon for you all to live with your parents. And, hey, keep in mind, even though I just got a house, I don't want to ignore the fact that I spent 4 years in college, but then I got an apartment with a roommate. Then after 1 year, went to another apartment with a different roommate and stayed there for 5 years. Basically, the reason I went back home was to set up for the whole house thing. Like, I could have just gotten another apartment, but due to the fact that I was moving in the same area where I grew up in, it was all good because I was able to save my money. But yeah, and the thing is, I can't relate to Malik because I'm not a father. Because honestly, I don't want any kids pre-marriage. So, because life is hard enough as it is, just had another Walmart delivery yesterday. I'm thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. Just the price of everything, man, I can't even, and just props to those of you who are parents and whatnot. And, but then again, I'm not married or anything. So it's not like I, am a single parent. Well, it almost feels like I am since my nephew's still here. But yeah, it's just everything's so expensive. But it's like, But I like the fact that Malik really got that pep talk. And it didn't feel repetitive because, yeah, I remember back when I was in Lynchburg, for example, whenever graduation season would come around, whether I was still at the call center and whatnot, I would look and see, people posting on, line about, graduating and whatnot. But it wasn't just the fact that they graduated because I had already done that. It's just that you see people who have their lives already planned out. Oh, I'm engaged. Oh, I got it. I got a job, the position I applied for because of my internship. Yeah, I'm going to be moving to this state and starting on this career, this, this, that, and the third. And here I'm in a call center and you feel inadequate. And, it's easy to feel like you're a failure because you're not where you want to be. But the thing is, I just love the fact that the guys kind of metaphorically wrapped their arms around Malik and, gave him that reassurance because he feels like he isn't being a good example for his daughter. And it's like, man, you just started out. She's not even a year old, I don't think. But then again, I don't know how old that kid is. But it's just one of those things where I love the fact that we're seeing the process. It's not something that's going to be done overnight. Even Calvin mentioned, like, yeah, I was living at home, remember? And then I had to work at the barbershop and this, that, and the third. And, it was just crazy, but eventually things worked out. So that was a good scene. Had to stay on that for a little while. So, last scene to talk about. I think it is Sunday, Father's Day, and everybody's dressed up early to go to church. And before they do, they go over to CJ and Janine's, and we have this great scene where all the ladies, even Jasmine, like Malik and Jasmine talk up CJ as well as Janine. Then you got Miranda and Laura talking great about Calvin, Ella with Curtis, and Lisa with Malik. And they all get a bag which has a tie, but there's a fun little twist to it at the bottom of the bag. There's a ticket to a Raiders game, basically a baseball game. And it's like, hey, on top of that, the ticket also serves as a voucher for a free steak dinner. So instead of going to church, the guys just, get the heck out of Dodge. And it was great. I like this surprise. And earlier in the episode, while the fellas are watching the game, they kind of talk about, Father's Day in general and how Mother's Day, it's crazy how Father's Day, they only play the commercials during shows that men would actually watch. Like, for example, The Game. Like, why don't they play Father's Day commercials like during a reality TV and stuff like that, basically for women to see it? Because when it's Mother's Day, restaurants are packed, lines are going around the door, commercials and advertisements are everywhere, you can't escape it. But Father's Day, it's like, there's barely any hype. And then Malik is like, well, yeah, mothers deserve it, right? Mothers are great. I'm like, and CJ's like, no, I'm not saying that mothers aren't deserving of that kind of treatment, but the fathers, we kind of get the short end of the stick. We just get the same repetitive socks or ties and whatnot, and we just have to act happy. But when it's Mother's Day, it's like all out. It's like a whole celebration. So I just like the dual side of that. But with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this episode of House of Payne. I truly enjoyed it. And with that being said, I really do hope we get more holiday episodes like this. This was really good. So I will catch you in the next video. Keep in mind, Zatima returns in less than 12 hours from now when I'm recording the video. And yeah, so make sure you turn on notifications so you're up to date. And I'll catch you all in the next upload.